Hey there, everybody. It's me again, Velton Shaw. I'm here today, and thought I'd take a couple more minutes this week to talk to you a little bit about the book that I'm writing. I spoke about it the other day. It's called Leadership Dynamics: 52 Principles That Every Successful Leader Understands. And I'm really into this because I want to change the thought processes and the attitudes of leaders currently in place and those who are aspiring to one day be either leaders, manage from middle management all the way up to the C-suite, to the CEO of major corporations. And the purpose of the book is to really change the attitude and the dynamics of how we think of leadership, giving you 52 principles based on the principle of 7, utilizing or practicing something 7 times for 7 straight days to develop the habit of thinking in a certain way. So today I thought I'd just give you another excerpt, three segments from the book that I'm going to talk about today. And the first one, and I'll just name them for you before I get started. The first one is never substitute profit for values. Very important. Never substitute profit for values. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about learning to swim with the sharks without being eaten alive. It's a book written back in the 90s by Harvey Mackay, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. And the third that we're going to talk about is accepting responsibility, but sharing accolades. You know, a lot of times as leaders we accept responsibility, but we forget sometimes to share the accolades. So let's start with the first one. As I said, never substitute values for profit. Now, I'll tell you a little story. Back in 2008, the market crashed. 2007, 2008, the market crashed. And a lot of times what was happening, because of the panic of trying to make money, corporations started sacrificing their ability to provide better service and service standards because of their thirst for profitability, their thirst to make money, their thirst to want to do things that they just couldn't afford because they wanted to make sure that they were staying in business and protecting their bottom line. Whenever things get tough, you always heard the tough get going, but whenever things in corporate America get tough, they start tightening down on things. They start changing their attitude towards things. And usually their attitude changes most towards their customers, and customers suffer. So when your profit becomes more important than your value, I look at that as a short-term strategy. Because the market's going to change, things are going to turn around, things are going to get better. And if you have tightened yourself down to the point where your customers are feeling it, then they're not going to, number one, value your company the way they may have if you had stuck with them and worked through the difficult times with them and shared some of the burden with them. But they're going to look to work more so with the competitors that you have that were willing to do the things that you weren't. So profit and value is a balancing act. Everybody wants to make money. We're all in business to make money. But we have to make sure that we protect the things that are equally or more important to us. And to me, that's customer relationships. And you all know I came out of sales and marketing. I spent most of my adult life as a sales professional. And the one thing that I valued more than anything else was the relationships with customers. And I'll give you an idea of some of the things that happened. I was working at a hotel, and prior to 2008, the market crashed, or the market took a dip. And the company that I was working for, and I won't mention the name, decided that they were going to tighten things down so much that the customers started feeling it. They started not accepting business from certain customers because it wasn't as profitable as they'd like it to be based on the circumstances that they were under. And we turned away a lot of customers because they didn't fit what we were looking for at that moment, that particular moment, or that particular space in time. The difficulty or the negative side of that was when the market turned around, and it didn't take a long time, it only took maybe a year or so for the market to turn around, those customers that we had alienated didn't want to do business with us anymore. Conversely, when the market really dipped down, we started going after customers that we hadn't gone after previously. So we started, I guess, a fire sale is the best way to put it. When you start a fire sale, you start offering things that are really outside of the boundaries of what you normally do. If something costs, prime example, if something costs $497, and all of a sudden you've got an overabundance of those, and you start trying to get rid of them, and you start offering them for $297. There's a certain segment of the market that can afford to purchase your product at $297. They can't afford to purchase your product at $497. Well, the issue becomes, if they get used to the $297, they're not going to ever want to pay the $497 again. And when they do, when you do start increasing your prices, you're going to alienate those people. They're not going to want to work with you because they're going to think you're in it just for the money. Sometimes you have to hold your price, or sometimes you have to give them an incentive to come up to your price. Now, I'm not saying that you can't discount. Don't get me wrong. Discounting is very, very important, but it has its place. But everything has a value. Your company has values. Your products have values, and you have to protect your value first and foremost. And if you protect your value, you can protect your profit, because at the end of the day, you'll have the loyalty of customers that are willing to do what you need them to do, which is purchase your products, do business with you. Your goods and services will be on the top of their priority list. But you got to make sure that when things get tough, you don't just look for the profit and sacrifice your values. I hope that makes sense to you. If it doesn't, let me know, because I'd love to have a conversation about that. It's a very, very in-depth subject, because profit and values. I'll give you another instance. After 2007 and 2008, one of the things that happened is customer service took a beating. And they took a beating because corporations were looking at the bottom line of profit. I got to make a profit. I got to hold my profit. If you remember, prior to 2007 or 2008, if you as a customer had an issue or a situation with a vendor, with a purveyor, and you voiced your concern or your problem or your displeasure with them, someone in the customer service area would listen to you, which is one of the most important things. Everybody wants to be heard. But then they would offer you some kind of retribution, compensation, or something to make you feel good or to fix the problem. Fast forward 2007, 2008, when the market dipped. Customer service dipped too. Why? Because it was all about profit now. Don't give away anything. If they don't want it, too bad. Somebody else will buy it. Another customer is going to come along for us to do business with. All of a sudden, the attitude of the market changed. And it's not specific to one industry. The attitude across the board changed. Think about it. Think about now when you have an issue with a corporation or a company, and you try to voice that to someone at the company. 9 times out of 10, what you end up getting is a recording, which transfers you to another recording, which transfers you to another recording. Speaking to a human being is almost impossible. That's number one. Number two, if you don't get the recording, they want to communicate with you through a survey, which is an electronic survey, which asks you to fill out a lot of information. And 9 times out of 10, the information that they're asking you has nothing to do with the situation that you're displeased about. Take the airlines. The airlines really make me laugh because every time I make an airline reservation, they say to me, would you like to take a survey after this is over about how the customer service was with the person that you're making the reservation with? And at some point I say, yeah. But what I learned was the survey that they were asking me about had nothing to do with the performance of the company in giving me service. It had everything to do with the individual. And the individual has restrictions or fences that are built around them that they can only do so much. So they're really not interested in how the company's performing. They're more interested in the individual. Well, the individual is not there to ensure the values of the company. The individual is there to do a job. So what's more important? Is it the company giving me the service that I'm looking for, or holding the individual accountable for staying within the guidelines and standards of the company? They're looking at the profit because that individual doesn't have the ability to satisfy my issue if I have an issue. Then you ask to speak to a supervisor and they put you on hold. And the next thing you know, the supervisor comes on, and this is the one thing that gets me all the time. The person who transferred you to the supervisor has put all the information in the computer, but has not spoken to that person about the issue that you're calling about. So now you've got to rehash everything to the supervisor. Now, what does that have to do with profit? Basically, a lot of people get frustrated and they don't look to get any kind of resolve or compensation. They just walk away and deal with it the way it is. The company hasn't cared about the customer. They're worried about their profit. They're worrying about making money. So what you have to do as a CEO, what you have to do as an entrepreneur, is make sure that the message that you're sending to your customers and the people in your employ is that the values and the information that you are out there marketing to people is equally important, if not more important to you than the profit. Because if you chase customer experience, and you've heard me talk about customer experience in the past, profit is on the other side. When a customer has a great experience with you, they don't mind spending their dollars. They will pay you with their dollars over and over and over again. But you got to provide the experience, okay? So the second topic I said I was going to talk about today, as it relates to the book, is accepting responsibility but sharing accolades. You know, Nelson Mandela, who I love Nelson Mandela. I was fortunate enough back in the 90s when he got released from prison to have the opportunity to shake his hand, and I was awestruck. I was in Oakland, California, and he stayed at the hotel I was working at when he came to the San Francisco Bay Area right after his release. But anyway, Nelson had something that he was quoted in saying. He said, in leadership, it is best to lead from behind in good times when things are going smooth and accolades are being bestowed. As a good leader, you step to the front in times of trouble and discourse, and the people that you're leading will respect you and follow you. Well, what Nelson was saying is when things are going well, when people are doing great things, allow the people that report to you, the people that are on the same level with you, to bask in the glory, receive the accolades, share in the credit. Don't be a hoarder of credit. Let them be exalted. Let them be lifted up by the people, the customers, the people on your staff, the people in your corporation. Let them take the credit for some of those things. Because at the end of the day, as the leader, if they do well, you will do well. And when people start to see that you're willing to share credit with them and give them credit for things that they're doing, they'll want to do more for you. They'll want to perform great things because they know that you will allow them to be recognized for the hard work and dedication that they put in. Conversely, if you take all the credit, they'll start to resent you. They'll start to look negatively at things. You know, a good friend of mine was a gentleman named George Odom. And George used to make me laugh because I would talk to George and we'd be on the golf course sometimes, or we sat on a soccer board together. And George had this thing about some of the bosses, some of the people he was working with. And he said he had a boss, and he said he was a Teflon manager. And I said, Teflon manager? What's that mean, George? He said everything on his desk had the propensity to slide off his desk onto mine. And I said, oh, okay. And he said, but it was all about Velcro credit. And I said, okay, now I understand Teflon management. You have to tell me what Velcro credit means. And he said, Velcro credit means all of the responsibility slides off your desk onto mine when Teflon management. And Velcro credit means when there's accolades or credit or something great is being bestowed upon somebody, it all stuck to him. And I was like, wow. I said, well, how does that make you feel? He said, I can't stand the guy. He said, he's going to be retiring in a couple years, and I just can't wait. Because working with him, everybody in our department is demoralized. Everybody in our department feels slighted because we work very hard, but we never get any kind of recognition for it. It's always him, him, him. So, kind of what I'm talking about. If you share those accolades, if you share those types of things with people, people begin to want to support you. And as a leader, you know that you can't do everything by yourself. You need support. You need other people. You know, you've heard us talk about as part of the Black CEO movement, not being a solopreneur, not being in it just by yourself. You've got to have people around you who believe in you, believe in your vision, believe in your message, believe in where you're going. But when they believe in you, you have to believe in them. And believing in them allows you to share credit and accolades with them. So remember, don't be a Teflon manager who assumes the position of Velcro credit. And I have to give George credit for that, because he left me with that, and it's left a lasting impression on me after many, many years. Last but not least, I'm going to talk about a book that was written back in the 90s by a gentleman named Harvey Mackay. And it was called Learn to Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive. And I've got an excerpt in Leadership Dynamics based on that, because what that says is you have to understand and learn to manage in all directions. As a leader, you're not just managing the people who are your direct reports or report directly to you. You have to work with them. You have to develop a relationship with them. You have to get them to understand your vision, and they are really your customers. So they have to know, like, and trust you, just like the customers that are spending their money with you. They're spending their time, their energy, and their careers with you, and they're trusting you to help them get to the next level. So you have a responsibility to them to understand their why, who they are, why they're there, what are their goals and aspirations in life. You have goals and aspirations, and everybody who reports to you, well, I won't say everybody, but most of the people that report to you do too. Number 2, learning to swim with the sharks, because if you don't, those are sharks. They can take a bite at it. And you have to understand that the only way to swim with a shark is to be either invisible or to be viewed as a friendly, non-combative member of the community. So the second group that you have to make sure that you are in tune with are the people on the same level with you. Okay? You got to manage the relationships there too. I worked in hotels for almost 30 years. And the issue was, as a director of sales and marketing, I had to make sure I had a relationship with the guy who was over the rooms division. I had to have a relationship with the guy over food and beverage. Why? Because my customers are coming in. If I don't have a good relationship with the guy in the rooms division, I can't really guarantee that the service levels from the people in the rooms division are going to be where I need them to be. And if there's an issue, who do I go to? Who do I talk to? I can go and talk to that individual, but if we don't have a good relationship, a good working relationship, then I'm not sure that all the talking in the world is going to get me what I need. The same thing on the food and beverage side. If I don't have a good relationship with the person in the food and beverage area, are my customers going to get the right experience in the restaurant? Are they going to get the right experience in room service? Are they going to get the quality and the service levels that they need in banquets? So again, I have to have relationships, and you have to have relationships. Substitute those individuals that you work with in your company for the people that I'm talking about. We had engineering. Want to make sure the air conditioning works. Make sure the lights are on. Make sure that the water is running in the hotel. The chef, the kitchen staff, they're preparing the food. Everybody in your company touches the customer in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So you as the leader have to be in tune with these people. As the CEO of a small corporation, you may have 4 or 5 or 6 subcontractors that are doing work for you or work with you. Do you have a good relationship with them, or is it always an adversarial tit for tat when you're talking to them on the phone? Are you always taking them to task because either they're late or they are something's not totally correct, and you never really give them any kind of kind words, kind conversation, friendly conversation? We're in a society right now where people always communicate electronically. Do you ever pick up the phone? And you can pick up the phone over the internet and say, hey, I appreciate what you did the other day. That was great. Or even send them a note. Say, you know what? Really appreciate what you did on that project. And I'd love to do something special for you. If you do special things for people, people will do special things for you. But if you always are a taskmaster, always taking people to task on things, sooner or later they're going to find somewhere else to spend their time and energy, or they're always just going to do enough to get by. So you have to understand that the people on the same level with you, or the people below you, need love too. They need attention. They need you to show them that you care. Last but not least are the people, if you're not the CEO, above you. And even if you are the CEO, in some relationships, there is a board of directors. There's always somebody at another level. And if you are the CEO, you know who's at that level above you? Your customer. Because without them, you have no business. So you got to make sure that you take care of your customer. But if you're at that level in middle management, or just entering the C-suite, or on the team of the executive committee of an organization, you probably have a boss above you. You got to manage your boss. You got to manage the relationship with your boss. They have to be able to rely on you. They have to be able to count on you. They have to be willing to step in for you when it's necessary. And it's going to come. It always happens to all of us. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. You're always going to need an advocate. Do you have the relationship with your direct report that you report to, that they're going to be an advocate for you, or are they going to be an adversary to you? That's your decision. But you have to manage that relationship. So, when I talk about leadership dynamics, and I talk about how and what you need to do, what I'm really talking about is how you have to look at certain things, how you have to look at your relationships with people, how you have to look at how you manage yourself first and foremost. Because remember, everybody was born a leader, even if the only person that you're leading is truly yourself. You were born a leader. You were born to make a difference in this world. But how you show up every day determines the results that you walk away with. And as a leader, we have to remember, number one, that we never substitute profits for value. Number two, we share accolades. We lead in good times from behind, and we step forward and take responsibility and guide the ship in difficult times and times of trouble. And last but not least, we learn to swim with the sharks without being eaten alive, because we all understand the value and the commitment of managing in every direction, down, sideways, and above. Those are my tips for today. I hope they've been helpful to you. I appreciate you allowing me to spend some time with you. If you want to spend some more time, go over to veltonshowell.com, or you can go over to Strategic Solutions, my Facebook fan page, and I post a lot of information on leadership, customer experience, and how to be the best sales professional that you can. Remember, our job, or my job, is to help you improve your performance, increase your income, and become the most dominating force you can be in your marketplace. Make it a great day. Have a good one. Bye-bye.